Hello, this is Erica Salazar with Women in His Presence, and today I'm bringing you part 2 of our sermon series called Rise Up. So the last time that we did a video, we were in Joshua 7, and we reviewed in Joshua 6 that's when the Jericho walls fell down because the Lord gave Joshua instructions. They followed it. The walls came down after they walked around the walls once for 6 days and then 7 times on the last day. But there was a key instruction because they were supposed to shout, and after they shouted, the walls would come down and then they could go in and attack. But before they actually shouted, there was an instruction to make sure that they do not take anything that's under the ban, which would have been anything that was valuable like gold, silver, any types of articles like that. So last time we then jumped into chapter 7 where Joshua has sent some spies to a town called Ai. I think I pronounced it right. I'm not sure, but I don't know if it's supposed to be A or I just call it Ai. And so he didn't consult the Lord first of all, and he just kind of devised his own strategy, and they decided to send somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 men. It might have been 3,000. And when they did that, 36 of their men got attacked. They ran and they fled, which 36 out of 3,000, that's really not that much. But anyway, they ran like cowards. And so Joshua is there on the ground. He's upset. And Lord, you let them defeat us, blah, blah, blah. They're throwing ashes on their face, him and the elders. And he's just carrying on like, Lord, how could you have let this happen? But it ends up that someone one of the Israelites had taken something under the ban. So when we started off Joshua 7 last time, it said, but the sons of Israel acted unfaithfully in regard to the things under the ban. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah, took some things under the ban. Therefore, the anger of the Lord burned against the sons of Israel. So Joshua doesn't know this, but he did not consult the Lord before he attacked that town anyway. Had he consulted the Lord might have let him know, like, hey, there's some things that got to be dealt with before you end up attacking. And so we went all the way, I think, to verse 13, but I do want to backtrack a little bit because at 7:11 it says, we'll start back at 10. So the Lord said to Joshua, rise up, why is it that you have fallen on your face? Israel has sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. And they have even taken some of the things under the ban, and have both stolen and deceived. Moreover, they have put them among their own things. Therefore, the sons of Israel cannot stand before their enemies. They turn their backs before their enemies, for they have become accursed. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy the things under the ban from your midst. So I like that because it's basically saying that until you deal with that is in between. If we think the word midst, it's close to middle. So if you have sin to deal with, you're not going to be able to stand successfully until whatever's like, here's success and here's whatever sin you've done. It's holding you back from reaching that end goal. So, he's telling Joshua, y'all are going to have to deal with it. So one of the point 1 right here is you may be able to hide it from your family. If you do sin, and usually you are trying to hide it, and usually your sin is hurting someone, it's going to hurt your family, your family would be disappointed, but you may be able to hide it from your family, but you're never going to be able to hide it from God. So we see in Joshua 7 that it started out with the Lord already knowing what had happened. Joshua didn't. The Lord has to inform him. So the Lord will let your family know at some point, but you need to know nothing you do that is wrong is hidden from the Lord. He knows, and you might be able to hide it for your family for a time, but not forever. So now we're going to pick up and we're going to go to Joshua 7:13 through 15. And I'm also going to really quick read 6:18. So 6:18 says, but as for you, only keep yourselves from the things under the ban, so that you do not covet them and take some of the things under the ban and make the camp of Israel accursed and bring trouble on it. So here's a warning. So if you do that, you're going to be accursed. And this is what Joshua tells the people before they shout and make the walls of Jericho come down. He tells them before, if you do this, we it says Israel will be accursed. So that's all of them. So that's a huge thing, that when you do something wrong, it not only affects you, and in this case, it's going to affect the whole Israel nation. So they're warned right before, just like in the garden with Adam and Eve, if you take from the fruit of the tree of knowledge and evil, you will surely die. So there's fair warning here. So we're going to go ahead and pick up in Joshua 7. 13 through 15. This is after they've been defeated by Ai, basically because they ran like cowards. 36 of their men got killed, and they flee. And so in 13 through 15 it says, rise up, consecrate the people, and say. So this is the Lord talking to Joshua. He's telling him, get up, consecrate your people. Consecrate means you're going to like purify or set apart. Consecrate the people and say, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow. So he's telling Joshua to tell the people, consecrate yourself for tomorrow. So let's say today's Sunday. If Joshua was talking to them, he's saying, consecrate, purify, separate yourself, because tomorrow. So there's time here before tomorrow actually comes. So we'll continue, but we'll stop and think about that for a little bit. Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, for thus the Lord, the God of Israel, has said, there are things under the ban in your midst, O Israel. You cannot stand before your enemies until you have removed the things under the ban from your midst. So first the Lord tells Joshua, hey, someone in your family's done this. And then what he needs to go do is tell the nation of Israel, someone within us has done wrong, has taken something under their ban, and they need to consecrate themselves before tomorrow. Now think about when you do something wrong, you hide it. But there's times and there's opportunities for you to go, oh, you know what, that was me. I did it. So if we think about this little window of time where he's telling them to consecrate yourself before tomorrow, that would have been a great time for that person. And it tells us in 7:1 who it was. It's Achan. Hey, you know what, by the way, that was me. But that doesn't happen. So it continues. He tells them what's going to happen. They cannot stand until they deal with it. So they're not going to be able to go to war, and they're not going to be able to go to battle until they get this dealt with. It says, in the morning, then you shall come near by your tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which the Lord takes by lot shall come near by families, and the family which the Lord takes shall come near by households, and the household which the Lord takes shall come near man by man. It shall be that the one who is taken with the things under the ban shall be burned with fire, he and all that belongs to him, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord, because he has committed a disgraceful thing in Israel. All this is being said the day before it actually happens. And there's a quiet. So basically what the Lord is saying is Israel's the nation. So that's how when they left Egypt, they were just separated by households. But once they went into the wilderness, you have the nation of Israel, and then they are separated by the 12 tribes. Within the tribes, you have the clans. With the clans, you have the households. And this was a patriarchal system. So the men of the households were in charge, and it was the oldest male relative that was, I guess, in control. I think of the household, maybe. I'm not quite too sure on that part. I think it's the household. So it's basically saying the next morning, the tribe is going to be called out. So there's 12 of them. And whoever has done wrong, whatever tribe that person belongs to, that tribe is going to have to come forward. From that tribe, there's the different clans. They're going to call out the clan that man is in. Okay? So imagine all the clans of the tribe. And it's like, who is it? Whose clan is it in? Is it mine? Is it yours? You know, and they call out the clan. Everyone's like, it's not us. Because remember, nobody knows except for the Lord who actually has it. So you have the tribe, and let's just use the hands. Like, here's the tribe. Okay? So we have the tribes. The tribe is called out. So now we see the clans. Out of those clans, only one of them is going to be pulled forward. From that clan, all the little households, the men of those households are now going to have to step forward. So let's just put these, okay? So now the men of the household have to step forward, and then one of those men is going to be called out. So he's telling them this all the day before. If that was me, I'd be like, hey, we don't need to worry about it. It was me. It's my bad. Here, take it. But that's not what happens. So the next point is the consequences for disobedience are never a secret, but the details are revealed only after discovery. So we knew whenever we read 6:18 that if someone does that, the nation's going to be accursed. Israel's going to be accursed. And that's what happened. When they went to battle, they were accursed. They couldn't stand. Really, 36 men being injured out of, was it 3,000? I'm pretty sure it was 36. It's really not that big of a deal, but there's a cursing over them. They're not going to be able to fight, even if it's not that bad. So everybody knew what the consequence was going to be. What was new was a little bit of the details. It shall be that one who is taken with the things under the ban shall be burned with fire, he and all that belongs to him, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and because he has committed a disgraceful thing in Israel. And you might think, well, that's not fair. We didn't know about it before. They were warned enough. It's just like Adam and Eve. They were told if they eat from the fruit, they will die. That's enough. That's all the information you need to know. They really didn't need to know what death meant, that meant that they were going to be ashamed of what they look like, that there was going to be labor pains for Eve, that they were going to have to toil for the ground. Like, all those little details were not mentioned with the original command, nor should it have to have been, because that first original reason is good enough not to do it. So we've got to realize that if we sin, we already know what the consequence is going to be. But there's a lot of hidden details that are also going to go along with the consequence that are not mentioned because they don't need to be. You already know that something bad's going to happen if you sin, and that's all. That's enough. You don't have to know. And I think we do this a lot when we're kids. You know, your parent gives a rule and you pay the consequence, but there was some other stuff to that, and you're like, but I didn't know that. It didn't matter. You knew the main one thing and you still chose to break it. The details really shouldn't have been a factor because you should have never broken the first thing. So let's go ahead and continue to verse 7. We're going to start at 16 and go to 19. Again, everyone's had this warning the morning before it actually happens. So Joshua arose early in the morning and brought Israel. So here's the nation. Now it's actually happened. He's brought Israel near by tribes. So we have the 12 tribes, and they are all from the sons of Jacob. And let's see. So he brought Israel near by tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. So you can imagine everybody else is like, whew, it's not us. So here, Judah has been pulled forth. Then it says, he brought the family of Judah near, and he took the family of the Zerahites, and he brought the family of the Zerahites near, man by man, and Zabdi was taken. He brought his household near, man by man, and Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah was taken. So notice there is no mistake of who did it. It's more like a sifting out. But the Lord knows exactly who it is. He's basically hand-picking. He's just going from big to smaller to smaller. And what I find really interesting, and never during that point does Achan go, it's me, don't worry about calling anyone else forward. Like, why are they even having to go through the process of all of this? From the night before, they were told to consecrate themselves. They were told what was going to happen, that they were going to be called forth. That means, like, you think you're going to get away with it. You may think that you're going to get away with it, but at some point you're not. Because remember, the Lord sees everything. He keeps eyes over the wicked and the good. Okay, and so 19, it says, then Joshua said to Achan, my son, I implore you, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and give praise to him. And tell me now, what have you done? Do not hide it from me, because so far he has hid it. So the next point is, point 3 is confess before you are called out. Because at some point, God will shift it, sift it, and bring it up. Let's go ahead and go to point number 4. So we're going to look at 7:20 through 23. So Achan answered Joshua and said, truly I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel, and this is what I did. So I love this because, you know what, you're going to end up having to confess anyway. You might as well do it early. Why wait for all of this? When I saw among the spoil a beautiful mantle from Shinar and 200 shekels of silver and a bar of gold, 50 shekels in weight, then I coveted them. and took them, and behold, they are concealed in the earth inside my tent with the silver underneath it. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and behold, it was concealed in his tent with the silver underneath it. They took them from inside the tent and brought them to Joshua and to all the sons of Israel, and they poured them out before the Lord. So the next point is, you have already been convicted of your wrong doing if you are trying to conceal it. If he was hiding it under his tent, he knew what he was doing was wrong. And then it's like, if you have to hide it, that means you can't even share it with your closest members. You can't, you can't even enjoy it because you're trying to keep it hidden. So it doesn't even make sense to do it because it's really not that enjoyable. But the moment he concealed it, it shows he knew what he did was wrong. This was not an accident. Alrighty, so let's go to verses 24 through 26. Then Joshua and all of Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, the silver, the mantle, the bar of gold, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and all that belonged to him. And they brought them up to the valley of Achor. Joshua said, "Why have you troubled us?" Because he knew he was there just like everybody else. And think about a nation. They were huge. And he was the only one who made this mistake and sinned, even though he knew he was not supposed to. "Why have you troubled us? The Lord will trouble you this day." And all Israel stoned them with stones, and they burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. Now, you might think this is really harsh, but let's think about it. 36 people have been killed because he took something he wasn't supposed to, and it was very clear that if they do, that Israel, the nation, everybody would be accursed. So people have lost their lives because of his disobedience. Now, Joshua did have some part in that because he never consulted the Lord to begin with. Had he consulted the Lord first, the Lord probably would have told him, "You can't go to battle yet because you all will not be able to stand because someone has already broken the ban." But it may seem harsh, his punishment, but it wasn't fair to everybody else who lost their family member in that whenever they charged Ai. They raised over him a great heap of stones that stands to this day, and the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger. Therefore, the name of that place has been called the Valley of Achor to this day. So point number 5 is, your sin makes those you cover vulnerable and victims to your consequences. Whenever you sin, especially if you are in a position of authority, whether you're a parent, a mother, or father, those that are under you are deeply and greatly affected by your negative consequences. So you need to know the Lord and also listen to the Lord, because if he gives you a direction to not do something, it's not only for your protection, but it's also for your family's protection. And in the moment of sin, you're very selfish and you can only see tunnel vision, and you forget who else it also impacts. So we're going to go ahead and end with that tonight, and I hope you'll have a great week, and I look forward to teaching on Joshua 8 next week. Alrighty, y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye.